what we have seen, and these documents, some of them are hard to read because they're redacted, but we do know that agents knew that the Steele dossier was fake. They also had information that Hillary Clinton had planned to work with George Soros's Open Society Foundation to start the Trump-Russia narrative as partly a cover for her own email investigation. They knew that, and they left that out of their assessments. They also, this is one that really drives me insane, and I've talked about it a lot. When the DNC got hacked, the FBI didn't run the audit. They didn't do the investigation. Neither did the NSA or the CIA. It was CrowdStrike. And CrowdStrike assessed that Russia hacked the DNC. But then Comey and McCabe said, well, if they're hacking the DNC, they must be doing it in the name of Donald Trump. But they never had proof that Russia actually hacked it in the first place, let alone a connection to Donald Trump. They just started to make these assumptions and work them into basically official actions of the FBI. So when they were taking news clippings and crazy stuff from the dossier to the FISA court, they had to know they were lying to the FISA court when they did that.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the FISA court because, look, I think fundamentally underlying many of the allegations, much of the information we're now learning, is this confirmation of the double standard that so many of us have been complaining about for so long. You're absolutely right that it looks like the FBI ignored very credible allegations that this Steele dossier, the Russia collusion hoax, all of this was simply an op being perpetuated and pushed by the Hillary Clinton presidential campaign. And yet, at the same time, they then turned around and gave credence to that very Steele dossier. And you mentioned the FISA court. It's not lost on me that Kevin Kleinsmith, a former FBI lawyer who admitted in court to falsifying emails, altering emails in order to obtain a FISA warrant, he was prosecuted, he was convicted, and he only received a slap on the wrist. And in fact, under the DC bar's disciplinary process, he is now once again eligible to practice law in the District of Columbia. And yet, just earlier this week, the DC bar recommended that Jeff Clark, a senior DOJ lawyer during the first Trump administration, now an attorney for the Office of Management and Budget, they recommended that Jeff Clark be disbarred. And so again, it's this double standard, this shading of the truth. I think that so many of us have found so problematic for so long.
And you're talking about the warrants to surveil Carter Page, who is a
right.
CIA asset. Now, I'm not going to say Brennan knows every single functionary of the CIA, but when it was found out that a CIA guy was talking to the Russians, which he was supposed to be doing for the CIA, Brennan should be like, oh, that's one of my guys. That's one of my guys. No, they were like, surveil him. Him and George Papadopoulos. They were trying to work their way up to Donald Trump. But again, the Durham report showed us there was no predicate for Crossfire Hurricane. The Clinton annex showed us that they knew that Clinton was behind the Steele dossier and the Trump-Russia narrative, which somehow made a leap from, look, we don't like it, dirty campaign ads, right? Both parties do it. But somehow the stuff of a dirty campaign ad morphed into the official actions of the FBI and the FISA court. And the FISA court doesn't even seem mad that Comey and McCabe lied to them.
Well, look, I think we as the American people should be troubled. I am certainly troubled by many of the allegations that are being made. But look, I think many of these allegations have been circulating for many years now, but the actual documents themselves, much of the information, have remained cloaked in secrecy. They've remained heavily redacted, as you mentioned. They have remained confidential. And we're starting to see moves to release more of that information to the public. John Durham released his report several years ago now. It's hard to believe. But just recently, the appendix to that report was declassified. So we're getting to see some of the documents, some of the information that he relied on firsthand. Similarly, Tulsi Gabbard is releasing some of the information she has seen. And so I think we're going to see more and more confirmation of what we already unfortunately suspected to be true.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.